Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the morning after the night before. So sit back, relax, grab yourselves a cup of tea and let us get in to the video. So ladies and gentlemen, how are we all doing? I hope you're doing well. Now this morning's video is a follow-up video to one that I posted a little while ago, literally probably about a day or two ago, with regards to my mother having a stroke. Now I'm pleased to report that after speaking to my dad regarding my mum's stroke, she is actually no worse for wear. Yes, obviously she has had the stroke, which is obviously a sad thing in itself, but by the sounds of it, initial not inspections but initial assessments show that my mum has not suffered any long-lasting effects. And now that I've got a bit more information, I can actually tell you guys what actually happened. So it went like this. The stroke happened at approximately 11 o'clock on Friday evening, so about two or 3 days ago by the time you watch this video. And according to my dad, when I spoke to him on the phone, he said that my mum was talking gibberish, literally absolute gobbledygook. No idea what the fuck she was saying, or where she was, or who she was. And my dad realised something wasn't quite right when my mother decided, well, she didn't decide, she had a bit of an episode where she slumped in her chair. So you know when a stroppy teenager or a stroppy toddler literally just slumps in their chair, it's like, no, I'm not doing anything for you. It was literally like that. And that's when my dad realised that something wasn't quite right. And bless him, he phoned 111 to try and get some sort of information as to what to do. And would you believe that 111 turned around and told him to wait 30 minutes, and if my mother had improved, call an ambulance. I mean, naturally, my dad didn't wait 30 minutes. I think he waited probably about the best part, maybe 10, because he could see that my mum wasn't getting any better. So he called an ambulance. They ended up going to St George's Hospital in London. That's the same hospital that my dad went to when he had his stroke. And thankfully, after some assessments and a couple of hours in hospital, well, I say in hospital, more like in A&E, they said that my mum was free to go. And I kid you not, for the time that I found out that my mum had the stroke to talking to my dad about it, it was the worst couple of hours of my life. I mean, I know they say, you know, you shouldn't really worry about things you can't control and blah 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 blah, and normally I would agree, but when it's your mum, you know, you can't help but worry. And if anyone knows me, I do worry quite a lot. I'm one of these perpetual worriers that worries about everything and everyone. But thankfully, and I would say thanks to God, but I don't think God had any part of this. I think it was more so my dad recognising the signs and being able to help my mum as quickly as he did. And the scary part is that for the hour and a half, that's 1 hour and 30 minutes that my mum was going through all this, I can only call it brain fart time, quite literally for an hour and a half. She didn't know her own name, she didn't know the name of my dad. You know, that's a scary thing when you can't even remember your own partner's name, let alone your own. And then on top of that, my mum couldn't remember who I was, didn't know my name, didn't know my brother's name, or my sister's, or even the dogs. She didn't know who they were, or what their names were, or she didn't even know where she was living. So completely and utterly blank. And for an hour and a half, that's what my mum was like, for a solid hour and a half. And I don't know about you lot, but if you've ever heard or been around anyone that's actually had a stroke, you can imagine that it's quite a scary situation for them as well. Because how nerve-wracking and how upsetting must it be for someone if they can't even remember their own name for over an hour? I mean, okay, fine, when you're drunk you forget things, you forget your name and so on and so forth, yeah, la 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 la. Oh my fucking god, how slow do you people want to fucking drive? Okay, I appreciate it's a Sunday, but fuck me! Right, enough already. 1, 2, 3, let's go! Right, what are you doing? Fuck me, people around there drive so fucking slowly, it's unreal. But as you can probably tell, ladies and gents, I'm in a much better place today than I was when I did that video about my mum initially having the stroke. I'm a lot more myself, not quite as emotional. I'm a little bit more relaxed, if you can be such a thing after finding out your parents had a stroke. But I'm just, you know, I feel more relieved more than anything else. Because as you can appreciate, when something like that happens to someone you love or care about, it can be a really, really nerve-wracking experience. I mean, obviously more so for the person that's experiencing the stroke or whatever it is, but it's like, it's that sense of helplessness which really got to me when I did that other video, like when I initially found out my mum had the stroke. The overall sense of not being able to do anything for her, and not being able to support my mum and, you know, take away the pain or the scaredness that she must have been going through. You know, as much as I'm a big softie at heart really, but the fact that I couldn't do anything for my mum, that literally, when it happened, it was like, why can't I help her? Why can't I be the rock that she needs me to be? Why can't I be there to offer her the support that she needs? And yeah, I know my dad was there with her, and my dad went with her to the hospital and stuff like that. So I know she wasn't on her own, but it's just that overall sense of helplessness that I couldn't shake when I did that previous video. And it's like, if my mum ever watches this video, or even any of my family watches this video, you know, I just want them to know that I'm always thinking about them, and I'm always worried about them, and I'm always looking to make sure that they're okay. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you only really get one family. Do you know what I mean? Obviously you get family, like friends that you adopt into the family, and family friends, and, you know, people that you consider brothers and sisters and stuff like that, rather than just people you know. I mean, I'll give you an example. There's a lad that I work with called Ben, and, you know, I'll be honest with you, and it's going to sound really soppy, but I love him like a brother. And he's got a sister called Billy who also works with us, and I consider her family as well. You know, she's like the little sister that I never had. Both Ben and Billy are like the younger siblings that I never had the opportunity to have, or I was never lucky to have. And yeah, okay, that, like I said, that does make me sound exceptionally soppy, but on the whole, the whole situation that occurred with my mum and the stroke and everything else, it's just, you know, it's a massive eye-opener. It really is. And I can't, you know, I can't express this enough, that when something like that happens, you need to be aware, you need to be on point, you need to know the signs. And if you don't know the signs, then what the fuck? Alright then, if you don't know the signs of someone having a stroke, do your research, especially if you've got elderly relatives, or even elderly parents, or elderly people that you work with. And I know there's been campaigns in the past for stroke awareness and all the rest of it, and mental health week and all that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that those aren't worthy causes, because they are, but there's certain things that, you know, people take for granted. And I wholeheartedly think that friends and family are taken massively for granted. And I want people to understand that you need to be aware. I can't stress this enough. You need to be aware of certain situations. You need to be able to understand and react to certain events and certain things that happen. I.e., when someone has a stroke, when someone has a heart attack, when someone has, you know, a psychotic episode, when someone has an anxiety attack, You know, there's so many things these days that are going, well, not going around, but there's so many things that are slowly coming to light that people don't understand or don't pay any attention to. And heart attacks, strokes and mental health issues do get swept under the carpet quite a bit, unless it happens to you, if I'm honest. And I can't say this enough, things like strokes and heart attacks and so on, you know, life-changing ailments, you need to be aware. And I'll be honest, I cannot stress that enough. When someone in your family has the potential to become ill, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a heart attack, it could be a stroke, it could be some form of other disability like arthritis or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you are not aware, and if you are not using your brain, and you're not looking out for these signs, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't expect people to be constantly analysing their loved ones and their friends. Oh, could you be having a stroke? Oh, could you be having an heart attack? Oh, could you be having this? Oh, could you be having that? That's not what I mean. I'm just saying people need to be aware. People need to understand and be able to assess and react to these particular things. Because if you don't, one day, it may not be anytime soon, it may not be in the next week, it may not be in the next month, it may not be even next year, your friends, your loved ones, your partner, your husband, your wife, even you could be faced with something very similar, and something that's very, very fucking scary. And I'm not saying this to be, you know, scaremongery or to upset anyone, but thanks to what happened to me yesterday, I was at work when I found out that my mum had a stroke, and I didn't know what to do. I literally went straight into autopilot, did my day, went home, phoned my dad, and as soon as I spoke to my dad, all the stress and worry just sort of faded away. Because, like I said it before and I'll say it again, when someone you love, like a mother, like a father, sister, brother, whatever, has something like that happen, it is scary. It's some fucking scary shit, it really is. And I cannot express this enough, ladies and gents, that until it happens to you, you will never fully truly understand what happens and how you feel about the situation. Because I was scared out of my fucking mind. It must have been the worst 6-7 hours of my life. Again, I know that sounds really melodramatic and I'm sorry, but that is literally how I felt. I didn't know where I was coming or going. I felt that sick I couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat. I wanted to be able to be ready to get up and go should I need to, should my dad need me for whatever reason. You know, I was quite happy to give up eating for the evening just to make sure that I was ready to be able to go when I'm needed. And it got to the point where I was getting myself that wound up and that anxious that I didn't even go to sleep till about 1 o'clock in the morning. Even though my mum was at home with my dad, being looked after, being cared for like she should be, my dad doing his husbandly duties and looking after her in the way that he always has done. And it's like, like I said, until it happens to you or it happens to someone close to you, you'll never truly understand what it's like. And it is scary. It really, really is. It's that scary that I honestly thought that I was going to get a phone call from my dad saying that my mum had passed away thanks to the stroke. But, you know, someone was looking over her. And my mum's a tough old bird anyway. I kid you not, right? I'll give you a little bit of brief history of my mum's issues that she's had to deal with over the years. She's had 2 blood clots, one in her lung, one in her leg. The first blood clot caused her to pass out and fall down a flight of stairs, which you would think would do a lot of damage, but she actually walked away with only minor bumps and bruises. The second blood clot put her in hospital. Then one Christmas, she was sitting in her chair, minding her own business, watching the telly as you do. And you know those massive church candles that you can buy as, you know, like souvenirs and ornaments and whatnot? She had one of those fall off a shelf above her head. No idea how it happened, but it fell off the shelf, landed on her head, and she ended up with a brain hemorrhage. And you would think that that kind of injury would have finished her, but it didn't. So again, she was in hospital for a couple of months with that because she was put in a chemically induced coma so that she could recover from the injuries, which obviously she did. And then she's had all her other ailments to go along with it, like her rheumatoid and psoriatic arthritis, and She's also had, like I said in the previous video, thanks to other ailments, she's had all her teeth out of her head. So the poor cow's got no teeth in her head whatsoever now, so she's got to have false teeth. She's slowly lost her hearing, so she's had to have hearing aids. So she's got the full set when it comes to being an old lady, shall we say. But that hasn't stopped her. Even with all those ailments and all those things happening to her, it hasn't stopped her from trying to live her life as best she can. You know, doing what she does best and being the mum that I've always known and loved. Even with popular contradiction, thanks to certain members of my family to whom I'm not going to give the satisfaction of mentioning. You know, my mum and dad have been, you know, the epitome of what good parents are, in my opinion. And like I've always said, that when the time comes for me to being a dad, if I could be as good a dad to my kids as my dad was to me, or as my dad is to me, should I say, then I'll be doing something half right. If I'm half the dad to my kids as what my dad is to me, then I'll be doing well. And my dad is my blueprint to being a good parent. You know, I love him dearly. I love my mum dearly as well. And I won't have anyone say anything bad about them, regardless of what they've done in the past. You know, they've never done anything bad by me or my brother. And like I said, I love them both, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And as always, ladies and gents, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I know this has been a bit of a soppy, almost a happy ending kind of story, and I do apologise for being a bit soppy about it. But as always, thank you for watching the video to the end, and if you could smash that like button, it will help me out with YouTube immensely. It'll help me with the old algorithm. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have been fucking awesome. I have been Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, saying look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe on the roads, be safe, be happy, look after each other, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, adios.